The crystal halls of the Velati Council trembled as another star system fell to the Krulon Empire. Thaiska pressed her crystalline hands against the viewing screen, watching the last ships escape from the Meridian system. 12 worlds lost in as many days. The peaceful Velati Union was dying. "Council leader," whispered Rinsol, his blue skin pale with fear. "The Krulon fleet approaches our core worlds. We have perhaps 3 days before they reach Sanctum Prime." Thaiska turned away from the screen. Around the circular chamber, representatives from 11 other species sat in stunned silence. The furry Kethans had stopped their usual chattering. Even the proud bird-like Aryans hung their heads in defeat. "There must be something we can do," said Elder Voska, her 6 arms trembling. "Some weapon we haven't tried. Some ally we haven't called." "We have tried everything," Thaiska replied. "Our sonic disruptors barely scratch their ships. Our fear inducers don't work on them. They just keep coming." The council chamber fell silent except for the soft humming of the life support systems. Outside, Velati families packed their belongings, preparing to flee deeper into space. But where could they go? The Krulon Empire seemed unstoppable. Rinsol activated his datapad with shaking hands. "There is one option," he said quietly. "Something I found in the old archives." Every head in the chamber turned toward him. Thaiska felt a spark of hope. "What kind of option?" "There are records of a species from the Outer Rim. A place called the Sol System. The files are old and mostly corrupted, but they mention something about Deathworlders." Elder Voska's arms waved in confusion. "Deathworlders? What does that mean?" "I'm not sure," Rinsol admitted. "The records are strange. They mention beings that evolved on a planet with impossible conditions. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, radiation levels that would kill most life. But somehow they survived and became spacefaring. Why would we contact such monsters?" asked an Aryan representative, his feathers ruffling in distress. "Because monsters might be exactly what we need," Thaiska said slowly. "The Krulon have conquered everyone through fear and intimidation. Maybe we need someone they can't frighten." 3,000 light-years away, Admiral Tejo stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable, humanity's most advanced warship. He watched the stars through the reinforced windows, thinking about Earth and the family he'd left behind. Space was peaceful here, so different from the crowded, noisy cities of home. "Admiral," called Communications Officer So Young from her station, "we're receiving a transmission on an unknown frequency." "It's strange." Tejo walked over to her console. "Strange how?" "The signal is very weak, like it traveled a huge distance. And the encoding is primitive, almost like they're guessing how to talk to us." So Young adjusted her headset and frowned. "Sir, I think it might be from aliens." The bridge fell silent. Every human officer turned to look at their admiral. After decades of wondering if humanity was alone in the universe, this was the moment they'd all dreamed about. "Put it through the translation computers," Tejo ordered. "Let's see what they have to say." The main screen flickered to life, showing a fuzzy image of a crystalline being. The creature's movements seemed frantic, desperate. When the translation came through, Tejo understood why. "To the beings of the Sol System," the alien said, "we are the Velati Union. We send this message in our darkest hour. Our worlds are under attack by a force we cannot stop. They call themselves the Krulon Empire, and they destroy everything in their path." The image shifted to show burning cities and fleeing ships. Tejo felt his jaw tighten. He'd seen war before, but this looked like pure slaughter. "We offer all our technology, all our knowledge in exchange for your help," the alien continued. "We know you are called Deathworlders. We don't know what that means, but we hope it means you can do what we cannot. Please, if there is any mercy in your hearts, help us." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. So Young looked up at Tejo with wide eyes. "Admiral, what are Deathworlders?" Before Tejo could answer, Captain Hyun-Soo spoke up from the tactical station. "I think they mean us, sir. From their perspective, anyone who could survive on Earth would seem impossible. Their planet probably has gentle weather and no predators," added Lieutenant Mira from the Marine Station. "They might think we're monsters just because we're adapted for combat." Tejo studied the star charts, calculating distances and fleet positions. The alien worlds were far away, but not impossibly so. And if these Krulon were really as bad as they seemed, "So Young, send a reply," he ordered. "Tell them we received their message and we're coming to help." "Sir?" So Young hesitated. "What should I tell them about our intentions?" "Tell them the truth. Humanity doesn't abandon those in need. As the message transmitted across the vast emptiness of space, Teho activated the fleet communication system. His voice echoed through every human ship in the sector. All vessels, this is Admiral Teho. We have received a distress call from an alien civilization under attack. As of this moment, we are responding. Prepare for full military deployment. Throughout the fleet, human sailors and marines rushed to their stations. On the destroyer Soul's Fury, Captain Hyun-soo plotted jump coordinates. In the marine bays, Colonel Mira checked weapons and armor. Medical Officer Yuna prepared the hospital ships for potential casualties. None of them knew they were about to change the galaxy forever. They only knew that somewhere in the darkness, innocent people were dying, and that was something humanity would never allow. As the human fleet engaged their faster-than-light drives, racing toward a war they didn't fully understand, the Velothi received their reply. In the crystal halls of their dying civilization, hope flickered to life for the first time in weeks. The Deathworlders were coming. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sanctum Prime system. Admiral Teho watched through the bridge windows as the alien world came into view. It was beautiful, crystal cities that sparkled like jewels, floating platforms connected by streams of light, and rings of orbital stations that looked more like art than military bases. Admiral, reported Lieutenant Jin Woo from his fighter cockpit, I'm seeing massive refugee movements. Looks like civilian ships fleeing the inner system. Any sign of these Krulon attackers? Teho asked. Negative, sir. But there's a lot of debris in the outer orbits. Looks like there was a battle here recently. Admiral Teho opened communication channels to the alien world. This is Admiral Teho of the human fleet. We received your distress call and have come to help. The response came quickly, filled with relief and gratitude. Human fleet, this is Ambassador Rinsol. We cannot express our joy at your arrival. Please dock at Station 7. We have prepared quarters for your delegation. But when the human shuttle approached the docking bay, something went wrong. The Velothi ground crew that was supposed to guide them in suddenly scattered. Through the shuttle windows, Captain Hyun-soo could see alien figures running in panic. Some dropped their equipment and fled. Others pressed themselves against the walls, trembling. What's wrong with them? Asked Communications Officer So Young, who had joined the diplomatic mission. Maybe they've never seen human ships before, Hyun-soo suggested, but he sounded uncertain. When the shuttle doors opened, the situation got worse. Ambassador Rinsol was waiting with a small delegation of Velothi officials, but they all stood far back from the docking area. As the humans emerged, every alien took another step backward. Admiral Teho walked forward with his hand extended in greeting. Ambassador Rinsol, I presume? I'm Admiral Teho. The crystalline being looked at the offered hand with something that might have been terror. His translator device was working, but his voice came out as a whisper. Admiral, yes. Welcome to Sanctum Prime. Rinsol's companions were clearly struggling not to run. Their skin had turned pale blue and they kept glancing at the exits. When Medical Officer Yuna stepped forward with a friendly smile, one of the smaller aliens actually fainted. Are you injured? Yuna asked, kneeling beside the fallen alien with genuine concern. But her approach only made the others panic more. They rushed to drag their unconscious friend away from her, as if she carried some terrible disease. Admiral Teho raised his hand slowly, trying to appear non-threatening. Ambassador, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're here to help. Yes, Rinsol managed to say, though his translator was picking up extreme stress in his voice. Help, we expected you to be different. Different how? Instead of answering, Rinsol led them through the station corridors, but always staying at least 10 feet ahead. Other aliens they passed either fled immediately or pressed themselves against the walls, watching the humans with what could only be described as horror. In the main conference room, the situation became clearer but also more confusing. The Velothi had prepared the room for the meeting, but all the alien furniture was positioned at the far end, while human chairs sat alone at the other end. It looked like they were expecting to negotiate across a vast distance. Please, Rinsol gestured toward the human chairs. Sit wherever makes you uncomfortable. As the humans took their seats, Admiral Teho noticed that several aliens had monitoring devices attached to their bodies. The devices were beeping rapidly and flashing red warning lights. Ambassador, Teho said carefully, are those medical monitors? Biorhythm sensors, Rinsol confirmed. They measure stress, fear response, and survival instincts. They're reacting strongly to your presence. Medical Officer Yuna leaned forward with interest. Are you saying we're making you afraid? We're here to help you. At her words, every monitor in the room started beeping frantically. One alien's device actually began smoking before automatically shutting down. That's impossible, Yuna said. We haven't done anything threatening. An elderly Velati scientist spoke up, her voice shaking. Your existence is threatening. We ran scans of your ship when you arrived. The internal atmosphere would kill us in minutes. The gravity would crush our bones. The radiation levels from your reactor would give us cancer in hours. But that's just normal for us, Captain Hyun-soo protested. Exactly, the scientist replied. You live in conditions that would destroy any other known species. Your homeworld has metal-crushing gravity, deadly radiation and poisonous gases in the atmosphere, yet you not only survived but became intelligent enough to build starships. Admiral Taeho was beginning to understand. You think we're monsters because of where we come from. Not monsters, Rin-Sol said quickly. But predators, apex predators. We've studied your transmission since you arrived. Your entertainment shows casual violence. Your sports involve deliberate physical combat. Your literature celebrates war and conflict. We also have peace, art, and cooperation, So Young pointed out. Yes, but always with the capacity for violence underneath. Even now, as you try to help us, every human in this room carries weapons. The humans looked down at their sidearms, equipment they wore so naturally they'd forgotten about them. To these peaceful aliens, even their rescue gear probably looked like instruments of war. Yuna slowly reached for her medical scanner, moving carefully so as not to alarm anyone. May I scan one of you? I want to understand your biology. The Velati scientist nodded nervously and allowed the scan. When the results appeared on Yuna's device, her eyes widened. Admiral, she said quietly, they're not just afraid of us. They're physically incapable of not being afraid of us. Their nervous systems are hardwired to recognize us as predators. To them, we trigger every survival instinct they have. So when they called us Deathworlders, Taeho began. They didn't know they were calling the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Rin-Sol finished. We thought Deathworlders might be strong. We didn't realize you were beings that could only exist by conquering death itself, every day on every world you touch. The room fell silent as both species contemplated what this meant. The Velati had called for help from creatures that their very biology told them to fear above all else. The humans had come to rescue a people who saw them as living nightmares. Finally, Admiral Taeho spoke. Ambassador, we're still here to help. The question is, can you work with us despite your fear? Rin-Sol looked around at his terrified colleagues, then back at the humans who had traveled across the galaxy to answer their call. If we don't, the Krulon will destroy us all. Fear of you is nothing compared to the certainty of extinction. Then let's discuss how to save your people, Taeho said. And maybe we can learn to understand each other along the way. As the humans and Velati began their first real conversation, neither species realized they were witnessing the birth of a new galactic order. The universe was about to discover what happened when apex predators decided to become protectors. The Krulon Imperial fleet arrived at Sanctum Prime like a dark storm. General Vasktor stood on his command ship's bridge, his reptilian features twisted in satisfaction. 47 star systems had fallen before his mighty fleet. This would be 48. Supreme Commander, reported his aide, we are detecting unknown ships in the system. They appear to be primitives who have allied with the Velati. Vasktor's scales rippled with amusement. More prey for the hunt. Open communication channels. Let us break their spirits before we destroy their bodies. The transmission reached the human fleet moments later. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Taeho watched as a massive reptilian face filled the screen. The creature's eyes glowed with cruel intelligence, and when it spoke, its voice carried undertones designed to inspire fear. Unknown vessels, Vasktor began, his voice dropping to threatening frequencies. You have entered space claimed by the Krulon Empire. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and you will watch your worlds burn before we take your lives slowly. The bridge crew watched their admiral carefully. They'd never encountered hostile aliens before, but they knew how humans responded to threats. Taeho studied the alien general for a moment, then smiled. It wasn't a friendly expression. General Vasktor, I presume. This is Admiral Taeho of the Human Defense Fleet. You have exactly 1 hour to withdraw from this system and release all captured Velothi civilians. If you refuse, we will remove you by force." For a moment, Vasktor was speechless. In 50 years of conquest, no one had ever spoken to him like that. The psychological profiles of every known species showed they would submit when faced with Krulon intimidation. "You dare threaten the Krulon Empire?" he roared, releasing pheromones designed to trigger terror in any intelligent species. "We are the apex predators of this galaxy. We have conquered more worlds than you can count." 47, Tejo said calmly. "We counted. And General, your little fear smell doesn't work on us. We evolved alongside creatures that would eat you for breakfast." The transmission ended, leaving Vasktor staring at a blank screen. His bridge crew was as confused as he was. No species had ever been immune to their fear tactics. "Sir," his weapons officer said hesitantly, "the enemy fleet is much smaller than ours. Only 50 ships compared to our 300. "Then we destroy them quickly," Vasktor snarled. "All ships attack formation. Show these primitives the might of the Krulon Empire." But as the Krulon fleet moved forward, something unprecedented happened. The human ships didn't retreat. They didn't try to negotiate. They didn't even seem concerned about being outnumbered 6-1. Instead, they charged. Commander Wu Jin was the first to engage the enemy. His destroyer, Busan Thunder, accelerated directly toward 3 Krulon battleships. His crew worked with deadly efficiency, their movements precise and coordinated. "Target the lead ship," Wu Jin ordered. Full kinetic barrage. The Krulon had never encountered kinetic weapons before. Their warfare was based on intimidation and fear, using sonic disruptors and psychological warfare. Their ship armor was designed to look impressive, not to stop actual projectiles. The railgun projectiles from Busan Thunder hit the Krulon battleship at a significant fraction of light speed. The alien vessel's beautiful, intimidating hull crumpled like paper. The ship broke apart, its crew never understanding what had killed them. "Impossible," Vasktor whispered, watching his flagship's destruction. "What kind of weapons are those?" His science officer was frantically scanning the human ships. "Sir, they're using solid projectiles accelerated to extreme velocities. It's incredibly primitive but devastating against our hull designs." "No matter," Vasktor decided. "Deploy the fear inducers, break their minds before they can use those weapons again." Across the battlefield, Krulon ships began broadcasting terror frequencies and releasing chemical agents designed to cause panic in enemy crews. It was their most effective weapon, capable of driving entire fleets to madness. On the human ships, the crews barely noticed. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Kijun from his fighter, "the aliens are broadcasting some kind of sound at us. Should I be concerned?" "Probably trying to scare us," replied his squadron leader. "Ignore it and focus on your targets." The Krulon terror weapons had the same effect on humans as elevator music. Humans had evolved on a world where genuine terror came from creatures with claws and teeth, not from abstract sounds and smells. Meanwhile, Major Kijun was leading the first ground assault on Meadows Rest, a Velothi world the Krulon had occupied. His Marines approached the alien positions under cover of darkness, moving with the silent precision of apex predators. The Krulon guards never saw them coming. "Contact," whispered Sergeant de Jong over the radio. "2 guards at the compound entrance. They're facing the wrong direction." "How can you tell?" asked one of her Marines. "Their eyes don't glow in the dark." "They can't see us at all." The human assault team moved through the Krulon defenses like ghosts. The aliens had evolved on a world with gentle predators and bright sunlight. They'd never faced creatures that hunted in darkness and struck without warning. By morning, the human Marines had captured the entire compound without firing a shot. The Krulon soldiers surrendered the moment they realized they were surrounded, their fear-based psychology completely unable to cope with an enemy that felt no fear. In space, the battle was already over. The Krulon fleet, designed to intimidate rather than fight, fell apart under human assault. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were destroyed by a force they couldn't understand. General Vasktor made one final, desperate move. "Release the bioweapons," he ordered. "The toxins that destroyed the Myran civilization. Surely these primitives cannot survive what kills all other life." The biological weapons deployed across the human fleet, viruses and toxins that had wiped out entire species. The Krulon waited for the human ships to go silent, their crews dying in agony. Instead, the humans kept fighting. Sir, reported a terrified Krulon scientist, the bioweapons are having no effect. Their immune systems are. They're fighting off everything we deploy. Vasktor stared at the readings. These creatures were immune to weapons that could kill any known life form. They lived in conditions that would destroy other species. They used weapons that turned matter into energy and called it primitive. What exactly had the Velothi summoned to fight them? As his last ships fell to human weapons, Vasktor finally understood. The galaxy had been conquered by species that fought through fear and intimidation, but humans had evolved in constant conflict with their own world and each other. They didn't know how to surrender. They only knew how to win. All ships, he broadcast on emergency frequencies, retreat, full withdrawal. Do not engage the humans again, but it was too late. Of the 300 ships that had arrived to conquer Sanctum Prime, only 30 escaped. The mighty Krulon Empire had been broken in a single day by a species they'd never heard of. As Admiral Tejo watched the alien fleet flee, he felt no satisfaction. Only sadness for the lives lost and determination to prevent more deaths. Send a message to the remaining Krulon forces, he told So Young. Any world they evacuate peacefully will be left alone. Any world they defend will be liberated by force. Within hours, Krulon forces across the sector began surrendering. Word spread through their empire. The Deathworlders had come and resistance was impossible. The galaxy was about to learn a new truth. Humans didn't just fight to win. They fought to protect, and that made them the most dangerous force the universe had ever seen. The news spread across the galaxy faster than the speed of light. The Krulon Empire, terror of the Outer Rim for over a century, had been defeated in less than a week by an unknown species. Communication networks buzzed with impossible reports and grainy recordings of human ships destroying Krulon fleets. On the trading world of Nexus Station, representatives from dozens of species gathered in emergency session. The Galactic Trade Council had never seen anything like this before. It's impossible, declared Merchant Prince Illifen of the Caridian Trade Federation. Her insect-like features twitched with anxiety. 300 Krulon ships destroyed by 50 primitive vessels? The reports must be wrong. I have confirmed data from 17 different sources, replied Archive Keeper Thosmo, his tentacles working frantically at his data terminals. The human fleet used kinetic weapons, solid projectiles fired at extreme velocity. The concept is so simple it's brilliant. Simple? Illifen's compound eyes focused on him. Kinetic weapons haven't been used in warfare for thousands of years. They're barbaric. They're effective, corrected Ambassador Quinna of the Peaceful Coalition. My people have been slaves to the Krulon for 30 years. These humans broke our chains in 3 days. Across the station, similar conversations were happening in every language known to galactic civilization. Species that had cowered before the Krulon for generations were trying to understand how everything had changed so quickly. Captain Jae Sung found himself at the center of it all. He hadn't asked to be humanity's first galactic ambassador, but the job had fallen to him after every other diplomat candidate had proven too terrifying for alien contact. Captain Jae Sung, said Council Leader Veska as she approached his quarters, we need to discuss the situation. Jae Sung noticed that she stayed at the far end of the corridor while talking. Even after weeks of contact, most aliens still couldn't handle being close to humans for extended periods. What situation specifically? He asked. The requests, Veska replied, holding up a datapad with trembling hands. We've received over 3,000 requests for human military assistance in the past 48 hours. The entire galaxy wants protection from something. Jae Sung took the datapad, careful to move slowly so he wouldn't frighten her. The list was incredible. Pirates harassing trade routes, aggressive neighbors threatening border worlds, natural disasters that local governments couldn't handle. Some requests were heartbreaking. Entire species facing extinction from problems they couldn't solve. We can't possibly respond to all of these, he said. That's not the worst part, Veska continued. Look at what they're offering in exchange. The payment offers were staggering. Advanced technology that was centuries ahead of human science. Entire star systems offered as territory. Resources beyond Earth's wildest dreams. Some species were offering to become human colonies in exchange for protection. This is insane, Jae Sung muttered. We're not conquerors. We don't want slaves. That's what makes it worse, Veska said quietly. You don't demand anything, so we'll give you everything. You defeat our greatest threats without asking for payment. so we assume you're planning to take everything anyway. Engineer Yunji was having similar problems at the technology exchange station. Alien scientists were practically throwing their most advanced inventions at her, desperate to trade with the humans. This gravity manipulation device can move entire moons, explained Dr. Kelmso, a crystalline being from the inner systems. We'll give you the complete specifications in exchange for one human soldier to guard our research station. Yunji studied the device plans. The technology was incredible. It could revolutionize human space travel and construction. But the price seemed wrong. Dr. Kelmso, this technology is worth far more than a single guard. Why are you offering such an unequal trade? The alien scientist's crystalline structure dimmed with what might have been embarrassment. Because one human soldier is more effective than our entire security force. You've seen what humans can do in combat. But we're not just about fighting, Yunji protested. To us you are, Dr. Kelmso replied. Your species evolved to solve problems through conflict. When we encounter difficulties, we adapt or flee. When you encounter difficulties, you destroy them and build something better in their place. Similar conversations were happening throughout human space. Trade delegations arrived daily, offering technologies that human scientists had only dreamed of. Defensive systems that could protect entire solar systems, medical devices that could cure any known disease, manufacturing systems that could build anything from raw materials, all in exchange for human protection. Admiral Tae-ho found himself overwhelmed by the political implications. From his office aboard the Indomitable, he watched as the balance of galactic power shifted toward humanity, without any human planning or intention. Admiral, reported Intelligence Officer Hai-jin, we're receiving intelligence reports from 37 different species. They're all sharing classified information about their neighbors, hoping we'll protect them first. This is getting out of hand, Tae-ho said. We came here to help one species. Now half the galaxy wants to surrender to us. It's not surrender, sir. It's survival adaptation. These species evolved in cooperative environments. When they encounter a superior force, their instinct is to join it rather than fight it. Dr. Yuna's medical reports were equally disturbing. Admiral, I've been studying the biological data from our alien contacts. Most galactic species have stress responses that shut down their higher brain functions when they encounter apex predators. They literally cannot think clearly when humans are present. So every diplomatic decision they make while we're around is made while they're essentially in a panic state. Exactly. They're not thinking rationally about trade deals or alliances. They're just trying to survive. The situation reached a breaking point when the Velati Council made their formal offer. Ambassador Rinsol presented it to Captain Jae-sung in a ceremony broadcast across their entire civilization. Captain Jae-sung, representing all humanity, Rinsol said, his voice carrying across crystal cities and orbital stations. The Velati Union offers you permanent membership in our alliance. You will hold governing seats proportional to your military contribution. Jae-sung did the math in his head. Humans made up less than 1% of the population in Velati space, but their military contribution was effectively 100%. The offer would make humanity the rulers of a 12-species alliance. Ambassador, Jae-sung said carefully, we appreciate the offer, but we don't want to rule anyone. Then what do you want? Rinsol asked, his translator struggling with the concept. We want to help people who need help. That's all? The silence that followed was broadcast to billions of aliens across the galaxy. The idea that the most powerful military force they'd ever encountered wanted nothing in return for their protection was beyond their understanding. It was also irresistible. Within days, 3 more interstellar alliances had offered humanity membership with governing authority. 4 independent worlds had requested annexation as human territories. 7 species had offered to relocate their entire populations to serve as human allies. Admiral Tae-ho realized that humanity faced a choice that would define their future and the future of galactic civilization. They could accept the power being offered and become the galaxy's rulers by default. They could refuse and watch as the current system collapsed into chaos without Krulon intimidation to maintain order. Or they could find a third option. Send a message to all human ships, he ordered. We're forming the Terran Protection Services. Not an empire, not a government. A service organization. We'll provide protection and disaster relief to any species that needs it, and we'll take only what we need to maintain our operations. It wasn't conquest, It wasn't diplomacy. It was something new. A species using their apex predator nature to become apex protectors. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. And every species in space was about to learn what it meant to live under the protection of Earth's children. 6 months after the fall of the Krulon Empire, the galaxy had become a different place. Admiral Tejo stood on the observation deck of Protection Station Alpha, humanity's first permanent installation in alien space. Through the reinforced windows, he watched ships from dozens of species coming and going in patterns that would have been impossible before human intervention. "Admiral," reported Commander Hyjin as she approached with her daily briefings, "the morning reports are ready." Tejo accepted the datapad and smiled at the contents. The Terran Protection Services had grown from a single fleet into a galaxy-spanning organization. Human ships now patrolled trade routes from the core worlds to the outer rim, ensuring safe passage for peaceful vessels. "Incident reports?" he asked. "Minimal, sir." The destroyer Soul's Fury responded to a pirate attack in the Meridian system. Pirates surrendered immediately when they realized they were facing human ships. The medical frigate Busan Mercy assisted with disaster relief on Cathara Prime after their solar flares disrupted their power grid. "Any casualties?" "None, sir. The pirates were relocated to a rehabilitation world, and the Catharans have fully recovered from the solar event." It was typical of the new galactic order. Most conflicts ended before they began, simply because potential aggressors knew that humans might respond. The galaxy's criminal organizations had quickly learned that robbing trade convoys wasn't worth facing Deathworlder retaliation. Dr. Jihai's research station buzzed with activity as she compiled her latest studies on interspecies psychology. Her work had become essential reading for anyone trying to understand the new galactic dynamic. "The data is conclusive," she explained to her research team, which included representatives from several alien species who had learned to work alongside humans. "Human protective instincts trigger cooperation responses in most galactic species. They feel safer with us around, even though their biology tells them we're dangerous." Dr. Kelmso, the crystalline scientist who had become one of her closest collaborators, added his observations. "It's fascinating from our perspective. Humans represent everything our evolution tells us to fear, but you also represent the solution to everything that actually threatens us." "How so?" asked research assistant Dong Min, one of the humans on the team. "Your species evolved to solve problems through conflict and adaptation," Dr. Kelmso explained. "When we encounter a problem we can't solve, we surrender or flee. When humans encounter such a problem, you find a way to destroy it or make it irrelevant." The research had profound implications. Dr. Jihai's studies showed that human presence in a star system reduced crime by 90%, increased trade by 300%, and eliminated interspecies conflicts entirely. But it also showed troubling dependency patterns. "Some species are losing their ability to solve problems independently," she noted in her reports. "They're becoming psychologically dependent on human protection." This was especially obvious in the former Krulon territories. General Vasktor had become an unexpected case study in species adaptation. The former terror of the galaxy now served as a liaison between the Krulon remnants and human protection forces. "It is difficult to explain," Vasktor said during his interview with Captain Jae-sung. "The massive reptilians' posture was completely different from their first encounter, respectful rather than aggressive. My people were raised to believe that strength meant the ability to inspire fear. Humans showed us that true strength means the ability to protect those who cannot protect themselves." "And your people accept this change?" Jae-sung asked. "More than accept. They embrace it. Krulon psychology responds to displays of superior force, but you humans don't use your force to dominate. You use it to preserve. This is unprecedented in our experience." Many former Krulon soldiers now served alongside human protection teams, their natural aggression channeled into defensive rather than offensive purposes. They made excellent guards and patrol officers, especially when paired with human supervisors who could keep their territorial instincts focused on legitimate threats. The transformation wasn't limited to former enemies. The Velothi had become humanity's closest allies, their crystal cities now hosting joint research, facilities where human and alien scientists worked together on projects that neither species could have imagined alone. "We're seeing breakthrough, discoveries almost daily," reported engineer Yoonji, From the Velothi Research Complex. Their technology is incredibly advanced but designed for their peaceful lifestyle. When we apply human engineering principles to their designs, the results are remarkable. The latest project was a perfect example. Velothi gravity manipulators combined with human kinetic weapon technology had produced the first truly effective asteroid defense system. Instead of destroying threatening space rocks, the system gently redirected them into useful orbits where they could be mined safely. It's typical of human thinking, explained Dr. Kelmso. Other species see an asteroid as a threat to be avoided or destroyed. Humans see it as a resource to be harvested. But the most significant changes were happening at the edges of known space. Lieutenant Dong Min was piloting a long-range scout ship. When he detected the new signal, another distress call from the galaxy's far rim, this is different from the Velothi transmission, he reported to Fleet Command. The signal is much older and weaker, like it's been traveling for years. The source is ancient, possibly from a civilization that predates known galactic history. Admiral Tejo studied the transmission data from his command ship. The signal was indeed ancient, containing languages and technologies that no current species recognized. But the message was clear enough. Somewhere in the deep void, an ancient civilization was dying. "Sir," asked Communications Officer So Young, "should we respond?" Tejo thought about everything that had changed since they first answered the Velothi distress call. Humanity had gone from a single-world species to the protectors of half the galaxy. They'd stopped a war, reformed an empire, and created a new model for interstellar cooperation. And now, another species needed help. "Plot a course for the signal's origin," he ordered. "Alert all available ships. We're going to investigate." As the human fleet prepared for their next mission, word spread throughout the galaxy. The Deathworlders were heading into unknown space, toward a threat that might be beyond even their capabilities. But for the first time since joining galactic civilization, the other species weren't afraid. They knew that whatever they faced, humanity would find a way to protect those who needed protection. Captain Hyun-soo stood on the bridge of the Soul's Fury, watching stars shift as they jumped toward their new destination. He thought about Earth, so far away now, and about the family he'd left behind. They'd wanted to explore the galaxy and meet other species. They'd ended up saving it instead. "Captain," reported his tactical officer, "long-range sensors are detecting artificial structures at our destination. Very old, very large, and completely inactive. Any signs of life?" "Unclear, sir. But whatever's out there, it's been waiting for a very long time." As the human fleet approached the edge of the unknown, Admiral Tejo reflected on humanity's journey. They'd started as apex predators on a single world. They'd become protectors of a galaxy. The universe was vast, full of wonders and terrors that no one had yet imagined. But whatever came next, humanity would face it the same way they'd faced everything else. Together, and with the absolute determination to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Behind them, in the civilized regions of the galaxy, billions of beings from hundreds of species went about their daily lives in peace and security. They built, created, traded, and dreamed, all under the protection of the species that had once been called monsters. The Deathworlders had indeed arrived, and the galaxy was safer for it. As the human ships jumped toward unknown stars, their mission remained the same as it had always been: to answer the call when someone needed help, no matter how far they had to travel or what dangers they had to face. The galaxy was vast, but humanity's capacity to care was vaster still.